shortly. But before I also do that, can I make a couple of remarks regarding the situation in Afghanistan? The situation in Afghanistan is extremely disturbing, very concerning, I know, to all Australians, and none more so than our veterans community right across the country. And in a moment, I want to make some very specific remarks to our veterans. What I can assure you is that the National Security Committee of the Cabinet has been meeting every day. We met again this morning for several hours as we continue to finalise the operational plans that are already being swung into place, not just here, but of course in the Middle East and overseas, and in preparations for what we are hoping to do over the course of this week. As I said earlier, on Sunday, I don't propose to go into any of the details of those plans at this point, but I do intend at the appropriate moment to stand before you again and update you on the progress of those operations. I want to thank all of those who have been working tirelessly to ensure that we can put these plans safely in place, to make sure that we can follow through, not just on the care that we provide to citizens in these situations, but of course the many Afghan nationals who will be making Australia their home. Already 430 Afghan nationals who've worked with Australia are already here in Australia with their families, and they've come here since April. Over the course of these many years, some 1,800 have come to Australia and are living here amongst us, and we're thankful for their support to us, and we are very pleased that they are making their home now here in Australia. There will be more that will be added to this number. There will be more that will be added to this number, not just through the locally engaged program that we've been running with a great sense of urgency, particularly this year, but in addition through our humanitarian program more broadly, which has the capacity to ensure that we can also take people through those channels. In a very torrid situation like we have in Afghanistan at the moment, it is changing by the day, and we have to be also very mindful of those who are part of these operations for Australia. We need to be mindful of the environment they're entering. What we have seen, and of course in the last 24 hours, is in the city of Kabul itself, while there may have been some stability, it's all relative when you're talking about a place like Kabul at the moment, some stability, the situation at the airport still remains a very difficult and challenging environment. But our Defence Forces, as well as DFAT, our Home Affairs officials and others, our health officials, are working closely together, not just for what needs to be done in the Middle East, but what will need to be done back here in Australia. And I also want to thank states and territories with whom we've been engaging to ensure that when we're able to have people returning to Australia, that we have the quarantine facilities and the places ready to go for that to be supported. I've been in touch with some premiers about that, but in most cases I haven't had to be. The arrangements are already there. This is a national effort. This is a call right across the country to support these operations, and I want to thank everybody for the important work they've been doing. Can I, though, say a few quite specific words to our Veterans Committee, who I know will be feeling these events incredibly sensitively. To the men and women of our ADF and Australia's veterans, I know today is a day of sadness and reflection for our Afghanistan veterans. It's a time of deep and uncomfortable questioning, and that is only right. We shouldn't hide from it. The scenes from Kabul have been absolutely heartbreaking. It's a sobering day for everyone, and particularly those who are given so much over the past 20 years, and most notably those 41 who were lost. I know the overriding concern of the veterans I've spoken to has been for us to protect those who worked alongside us in Afghanistan, that worked alongside you. 1,800 have already been brought to Australia, 430 just since April of this year, and more will come. I want you to know that we will continue to do everything we can for those who have stood with us, as we have to this day. But I want to talk openly to veterans that despite our best efforts, I know that support won't reach all that it should. On the ground, events have overtaken many efforts. We wish it were different. Today, we remember that tens of thousands of Australians and their families made extraordinary sacrifices for our mission in Afghanistan. Those who went didn't get to decide where they went. or the cause that they're asked to serve. They went because they'd signed on to serve their country. They'd signed on to be the professionals, soldiers, passionate about their country, to serve under their flag and in the name of Australia. Sacrifices that will always be honoured and always remembered. It was a mission that was about stopping a murderous ideology being exported around the world. For 2 decades, that ideology has been contained, as have the mass casualty attacks of those times. A generation of Taliban leadership was wiped out because of that violence, and time will tell if the lesson of that history has been learned. I know some veterans of the conflict are questioning these efforts. I understand that. I truly do. My answer, though, is the uniform you wear and have worn has always been about keeping Australia and Australians safe, serving under our flag, serving our values. There is no more decent and good purpose than being willing to serve the country that you love. It doesn't mean history's currents always run our way. I wish it did, but sadly it doesn't. But it doesn't matter which battle, which conflict, in where our uniform has been worn, we honour all who step up in our name. We honour the men and women who, in Andrew Hastie's words, run to the sound of the guns because that is what we ask of them. To them I say, you can be as proud as I am of you today as at any other time you put that uniform on, and the very first time you pulled that uniform on. You have served our country and in so many cases continue to. And I'm going to ask you to do one more thing for us and ourselves and yourself. And that is to please talk with people each and every day in the weeks and months ahead. To your comrades, to your fellow veterans, to your friends, to your families and to your counsellors. There are services that are available with people there who understand the circumstances of veterans and their families, including Open Arms on 1800 011 046. Talk to someone. Take up those services. It'll help you see through the fog of these very, very difficult times. The confusion, the uncertainty, the anger. It will make a difference because all Australians want you to know, not just your Prime Minister, that you are not alone. Tomorrow is Vietnam Veterans Day. And I want our Vietnam veterans who had their own difficulties in their times, as well as all of our veterans through all of our conflicts, also, as I know you do, reach out to your fellow Afghanistan veterans. And to all Australians I say, if you know a veteran, tell them, as I take every opportunity to do, to thank them for their service. Let them know that we're all grateful. Let them know that we're all proud, and we always will be.